Hey everybody, it's Greg again, and it's another edition of Unbreakable, the podcast. It is Friday, May the 10th. May the 10th be with you, and also with you. All right, so today we're doing uh we're doing a classic TV show. But before we do that, of course, the patron saint of this podcast, the Budster himself. Can you see him there? There he is. Look at him looking at us there. Always in our hearts, the Budster. Okay. I'm trying to learn how to use this new Zoom system. It's just a different way to get to you. It was much easier before, much simpler to set it up. You click there, you click there, and here we are, right? We're on Zoom, and then I converted over to YouTube, and there's no problem. Now you got it. It's like a rigmarole. You got to do the whole thing there to get here, and it's stupid. And so sometimes you may see me here just waiting to come on the air, like, and all of a sudden, hey, hi there. When I realize that I'm recording. Anyway. All right, that's enough bitching. Listen, we're doing the TV classic, and back in the day, back in the 60s, I used to love the Westerns. Remember the Westerns, TV Westerns? I mean, you had a whole bunch of them. And then, you know what was the best thing about the Westerns? The theme songs. You would have those great theme songs, which you could find on your streaming stuff. If you asked them to play a TV Western theme song, don't play this big grand da 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 the rifleman da 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 starring Chuck Connors as the rifleman. Da 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 da. That was great. That the big theme songs. I used to love the rifleman. He would have the rifle in one hand, just with the one hand. And Chuck Connors, this isn't our TV thing, but I'm just off track. Chuck Connors was a professional basketball player and a professional baseball player. He played for the Detroit Pistons for a short time, basketball, and he played first base for the LA Dodgers. Then he became an actor, and we know him best for the Rifleman. And then there was the big theme song, of remember Wyatt Earp? But he was played by Hugh O'Brien. The reason why Hugh O'Brien got the role was because he actually looked like the real Wyatt Earp. And Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, da 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 da. Of course, I don't know the words. Da 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 da. I know that is da 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 da. The theme songs were great. Oh, I loved them. And then here's some other westerns that we know, especially back in the 60s. You had Gunsmoke. That was probably the granddaddy of all the westerns. That was on for like 20 years or something. We're not talking about that. The Rifleman, Wagon Train. Remember Ward Bond? The wagon train would slowly move along every week. Well, we went 2 miles. That's the end of today's episode. Next week, watch us as we feed the cattle. Then the following week, up in wagon number 4, Grandma gets sick. Wagon train. They just went from one place to another, but it was a great show. We're not talking about that. High Chaparral. Remember that? Have Gun Will Travel. Cheyenne. The Virginian. Laramie. Death Valley Days, which was actually hosted by Ronald Reagan at the time, before he became president. Okay, well, we're not talking. This is the one we're talking about. And it's a great show. And it wasn't on as long as Gunsmoke, but I think this is probably one of the best, if not the best, TV Western of all time. Now I'm going to do the song, of course, no lyrics, but I'm going to do the song. So here we go. Yes, it's Bonanza. Bonanza is our TV classic TV show of the week. Bonanza. All right, here we go. You know what Bonanza means, don't you? Back in the day, when all these silver miners were mining out in Nevada, that's where Bonanza is set in Nevada, by the way. Whenever they would hit the mother lode, like a big silver node, whatever, they would say, well, oh, we hit the Bonanza, hit the Bonanza. Like that. So that's what the show is called, Bonanza. It was set in Nevada. Of course, you had the Ben Cartwright was the old man. He was the boss of the family. Here's the premise. Ben Cartwright is living on a ranch with three of his sons, Adam, Hoss, and Little Joe. And Ben Cartwright was married 3 times. All 3 times his wife died. Now, I don't think that's what the circumstances was. I'm not here to judge that. I'm not the judge. I'm just telling you. So, and each of the 3 boys were their stepsons. So each wife gave birth to each boy, and it was a Western, because they lived on this big ranch called the Ponderosa. They had literally, it is a 500,000 acres. And all they did was these boys would ride their horses around, and there's a lot of land to cover, wasn't it? So they had to go around and make sure no rustlers were coming on to the Ponderosa and stuff. So, and that's what they did. But it was a combination of a Western and like a family, which was one of the first, you think about it, one of the first Westerns that dealt with family stuff, right? And so you had, you Gunsmoke, you had, James Arness was the sheriff, Matt Dillon, Italian criminal. That was the main premise of the show. In Bonanza, it was much of a form of family dynamics. So you would have, the family, the stepsons, the stepbrothers, they have a disagreement, they had to work that. You would have, since it was set in the late 1800s in Nevada, it wasn't so much like Indians and stuff like that. It was more rustlers and, family dynamics. In fact, Bonanza was one of the shows back in the mid-60s, which dealt with things like racism and, things like that. So there was always sort of like a little moral to the story of Bonanza. Bonanza had, get this, 431 episodes. Bonanza was on 14 years, from 1959 until 1972. I'm going to talk about what happened in 72, why I skipped it. And we we're going to talk more about the characters. Hoss. Do you know Hoss's real name was Eric? Eric Cartwright. Eric Cartwright. And of course, he was played by the great Dan Blocker. Big guy. I always thought Dan Blocker was the, and maybe it's so, was the prototype of, remember Blazing Saddles, the Mel Brooks movie that made fun of all the Westerns? It was a funny movie. Well, do you remember the character Mongo, played by Alex Karras? One of my favorite characters in that movie. I think Mongo was sort of sort of a hoss, He had the 10-gallon hat, and he had the vest on over a bare chest. So Mongo, the hoss, the little Joe was played by Michael Landon now this was before, well, Michael Landon was sort of a movie star in the 50s. He did I Was a Teenage Werewolf, but he wasn't like a big star. Bonanza really, really brought everybody to attention to Michael. And then Michael Landon, of course, went on to do Little House on the Prairie, and then he did Touched by an Angel, and he did all these neat little shows after Bonanza. But Bonanza was like the thing that was really brought him to the forefront. Okay, so, and then some of the other characters, Hop Sing. Remember Hop Sing? He was this Chinese cook, and he was in some of the episodes. Somebody had to cook for these boys, right? And so, and they even got into racism there too, because there was some episodes where because he was Oriental, he's Chinese, these rustlers would come on and call him all kinds of names and stuff, and the Cartwright boys didn't like that, so they would have to settle that. Okay, so the Ponderosa we know, the show was on NBC, and mostly it was Sunday nights at 9 o'clock. That was for years and years and years. Actually, Bonanza started, if you notice, Bonanza started off on Saturday nights. They moved it to Sunday, and NBC had a really powerhouse lineup back then. Think about it. Sunday nights, they had The Wonderful World of Disney, which was great viewing, especially when you got the color TV sets in the mid-60s. And then you had Bonanza on. It was just like Sunday night, NBC ruled the roost on Sunday night. Okay. TV guide named Bonanza out of the top 50 shows of all time. TV guide proclaimed Bonanza to be number 43. I think it should be higher than that, but hey, at least it made the top 50, right? The son Adam, you didn't hear much about Adam. And really, the stories were Little Joe and Hoss and Ben Cartwright. But Adam was the architect. He built the house. He built the Ponderosa, which was a sprawling ranch, and that was headquarters of all this land in Nevada that the Cartwrights owned. It's the biggest ranch like in the United States, and the Cartwrights were there. Okay, so some other things that you might not know about the show. Ben Cartwright, Lauren Green played Ben Cartwright, the matriarch of the Cartwright family. Well, he did a great job. Lauren Green was a great father. And then he went on, of course, to star in Battlestar Galactica. Remember that? Battlestar Galactica? Lauren Green. And I remember for a long time, you remember this? Lauren Green did commercials like dog food commercials. You remember that? Dog food. And he seemed like he was a great guy. Well, the one thing Lauren Green, there were a couple cast members, they all wore hair pieces. Yes, I kid you not. They all wore wigs. Lauren Green was going bald, so was Dan Blocker, and they all were. The only one who didn't wear a hairpiece was Little Joe Michael Landon. He had all this hair, all this flowing, curling locks and brown hair, which he let grow for Little House on the Prairie. Now he was sort of a matinee idol kind of a guy there, really smart. Michael Landon was a very smart person. He directed a lot of his shows. He wrote a lot of the shows. Of course, when he got into Little House on the Prairie, he wrote a lot of those shows. So he not only was he a great actor, he was really influential behind the scenes. And of course, he made a lot of money because with Little House on the Prairie, he had a piece that was really his show. He created the show, and when it went into syndication, he got the big, the big bucks there. So and one thing, and if you notice that the Cartwrights always wore the same clothes. Why? Like Ben Cartwright always wore this like this tan thing with the vest. And Hoss had this like white cream color shirt with the vest and Little Joe. There were a couple of reasons why. Because it was cheaper that way in the city, cheaper to have them wear the same clothes all the time. Hopefully they washed them in between, or else they would have been stinky. And also, when they had to do doubles, like stunt people, that was easier to do. And then sometimes what they did in the shows, like they would substitute old episodes, like parts of episodes. Let's say Little Joe is riding a horse, and they splice it in rather than having new piece with Little Joe riding the horse. They like use an old episode and put it into the new episode. That way, it's all the same clothes. It's nothing different. Like Little Joe's riding with a blue shirt, and then he returns to the ranch, and he has his old green shirt on. That wouldn't make sense. Anyway, so if you watch Bonanza, you'll notice they all wear the same clothes practically all the time. Yeah, let's talk about this. So what happened was Bonanza went on for 14 years, and it was actually the #1 show in America for 3 straight years, 64, 65, 66, into season 67. That's how much people loved this show. #1, it beat all the comedies out there. It beat all the other medical shows and dramas and all the other westerns. Bonanza was it. What happened was in 1972, 2 things brought Bonanza to a close. #1 was the death of Dan Blocker, Hoss, our friend. And, it wasn't the same. I remember watching Bonanza, knowing that Dan Blocker died, and everybody was like, all right, what are they going to do? Right? Dan Blocker, the character of Hoss, was such a gentle soul. He was this, you loved Hoss. You wish Hoss was your brother or something, And when he died, when Dan Blocker died, it was a big deal back in 1972. And people said they really grieved. And they were like, what are we going to do without Hoss on the show? Well, what happened was they tried it. They tried bringing in other guys. We talked about the Oliver effect before, from the Brady Bunch, when the Brady Bunch, the struggling shows at the end, when they try to juice up their ratings a little bit, and they bring in different characters, or they might move the show to a different day, time slot. And it never works. And that's why they called it the Oliver effect, because the Brady Bunch brought in this bratty kid, Oliver. Everybody hated his guts. Nobody could stand him, and it didn't work. Well, after that, whenever a struggling show, would bring in a character at the end of its run, it was known as the Oliver effect. Well, that's what Bonanza tried to do too. They brought in Tim Matheson. Do you remember Tim Matheson? Tim Matheson was one of the students in Animal House. In fact, he was the main instigator. Otter, the guy who was like the lawyer type who spoke for everybody, the leader, that was Tim Matheson. And he originally started in Bonanza as a cowboy. And they thought, well, let's bring Tim Matheson in. He might be this new young heartthrob guy that'll bring interest to the show. Nah, it didn't work. So that was one thing that killed the show, Dan Blocker. And then the other thing was they moved Bonanza from its rock solid Sunday night spot which they had for years and years. People counted on Sunday nights, NBC, we're going to watch Bonanza that same time. They moved it. They moved Bonanza to Tuesday nights, opposite All in the Family. Oh, talk about a bad mistake there, huh? Whoever made that mistake should have been fired, and maybe he or she was. I don't. But that was the fatal blow, because once they moved Bonanza to Tuesday nights, nobody watched because everybody was watching All in the Family. Yeah? So that did a bit right there. I'm trying to read my own writing here, and I can't do it. Oh yeah, this is interesting. One of the things that we'll always remember Bonanza for. Well, you know, the iconic theme music, I read it. And the opening scene, we have the map of the Ponderosa, and then this flame burns right through it. And the Ponderosa, and it all goes up. Okay, that started. But what we'll always remember Bonanza for was the beautiful scenery, which was actually filmed out in California and Nevada near Lake Tahoe. Beautiful. Well, you got to remember when Bonanza started in 59, but really its heyday was in the mid-60s. And one of the reasons why was because color TV was coming into. Now, nowadays, people are like, what is black and white? What the hell? But back in the day, when I was a kid, we had black and white TV. And then in the mid-60s, everything changed over to color. Well, one of the big shows, in order to sell color TVs, this is unbelievable. Bonanza, they struck up a deal with, I think it was Motorola or something. Anyway, they would help sell color TVs, because when you got the color TV and you saw all that breathtaking scenery from Lake Tahoe, all the trees and the lake, and you saw the Ponderosa map burning up in the opening credits and everything, and so you gotta see this on a color TV. It's unbelievable. It's like, wow, we've never seen anything like this before. Duh. Yeah. We were all stupid back then, you know? And it's like color TV was like this big thing, you know? It's like nowadays it's like AI, or it's this new shit that they have, Apple TV, where you wear the goggles and you see the things floating in front of you. Anyway, color TV was like the big thing. So NBC promoted it. And they said, see, Bonanza, living color. Yeah. Get your Motorola floor-size TV and see Bonanza, living color. Oh, crap. And people did. So, and Bonanza helped in revolutionary the TV industry. The invention of color TV and getting people to buy color TV sets in the 60s and switch over. Come on, people, get out of the old days, the dark ages, come into the new, like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. Remember when the pre-Oz was all black and white in Kansas, and then she ends up in Oz, and she opens the door and the Munchkin land, and everything's in color, right? That's how we were in the 60s. We all like opened the door to color. We like, oh, it's color. It's color. It's just like real life. Anyway, so Bonanza helped. Bonanza. Okay, well, you know what? That's the end of our Bonanza show. No, Bonanza was a great show. No, and you could find it on, you could stream it, you could find it on cable TV. In fact, I think there is a channel somewhere on cable, there's everything, that just shows Western TV shows all day. all day. You've got your Wyatt Earp, you've got your Rifleman, you've got an album of the Big Valley. It's just one show to me. You just keep watching. And you vegetate and eat popcorn and you watch it. So find Bonanza. If you've never seen it before, do yourself a favor and find it and enjoy it. Because I think you're wrong. For us old fogies out there, including myself, who remember the original run of Bonanza, find it again and watch it again. And maybe it'll bring back a lot of memories, right? And like the good old times when we discovered color TV. Oh, man. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I'd like you back tomorrow. It's on Saturday. I'd like not. No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe not. I gotta take Coco for his puppy dog lessons in the morning. Yeah, we enrolled Coco at PetSmart to learn the figurative. And he's actually doing really good. You know, Coco focus. And Coco, sit, Coco sit. And while he's doing this, and he's focusing on the unit packages, I'm focusing on it too. Make him sit, make him roll. Hey, so I gotta take Coco to the puppy school in the morning, and then at night, oh, get this, I gotta tell you about this before we go. At night, we're going to Lancaster to see the great Peter Nude. You remember Peter Nude? He was the Herman's Hermits, the lead singer. Well, we catch him every time he comes around. And usually he comes to the cellars with Peter, and he comes to terrific business. And this time he's probably to Lancaster, and he's just going to do it. He is a lot of fun. If you ever see Peter in the world, now let's see it. So if we don't do a show tomorrow, we're going to do on Saturday. But I'll be serious. Hey, go Philly. Philly will get invited tonight. They should take the to everything. There's they're going to waste. To come up and go William Street. They'll be down on Women's Second Star, Second Minutes, and those. They do not even the police person. I think the news tonight come back and the good side. All right, everybody. Peace and love. I hope you have a good day. TGI, have a great weekend. See you soon. And don't forget to check out the videos. All right, bye-bye. See you. How the hell do I do? Hey, where's my glasses? Where am I? Who am I? What years? Zoom really makes it tough. I love Zoom. Don't keep me off. I love Zoom. But Zoom is a pain in the ass. You know what? If this new thing just what it was. God, Jesus. All right. I found it. See you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching. I think.